Thank you very much, Vicky, for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. It's a subject that I actually never spoke about before.
That's kind of why I like these chats because
Oh,
you never know what you're going to get out of them. We got so much more out of it than we thought we were going to get out of it. We're back with the second part of my discussion with Jase, and this time we're going to talk about being a parent of adult children with ADHD and how she is structuring her life to make sure her children always have the support that they need. So thank you, Jazz, for continuing on the conversation with me. Can you just kind of tell me a little bit about when you noticed your daughters had ADHD and what prompted you to make sure that all your future life decisions are centered around giving them the support that they're going to need, even as adults?
right. Thank you. I have two daughters actually.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest is the one who has ADHD,
Okay.
and my eldest daughter is autistic.
Okay.
So it started with my eldest daughter, and she was actually diagnosed at school. It's the nurse at school and the teacher
Mm-hmm.
that realized that something was not, um, I don't know how to say it,
A little
politically,
different.
was different. Exactly. I did notice that at
Mm-hmm.
home, because mom always know,
Right.
she was very slow at communicating. When you ask her a question, she will take very long to reply. And when she started school, the teacher would come to me and she had help at school, but it
Mm-hmm.
was very difficult for me to discuss it with the GP because the
Okay.
GP wouldn't hear. The GP, I don't know if you say the same in America, the doctor.
Yes. General practitioner.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
would not take seriously what I was saying, didn't pay attention. But the school really gave me enough support.
Okay.
And my youngest daughter, the same, was at school. I'm very thankful for the school in England for that. Although they're public school where they were,
Uh-huh.
but there's usually a nurse there, a counselor, and the teacher really do their work. And
Mm-hmm.
both my kids were actually first spotted, diagnosed at school,
Mm-hmm.
that having difficulty and needed help,
Yes.
plus support. Yeah.
Oh, so that's great because here in America we're cutting back on education so much. You don't always get that type of support. When my great nephew started school, like they'd call my niece, "Oh, he's crying too long. Come get him."
Oh,
It's like, well, yeah, because he's not used to being away from mom. It's like it's his first year of school.
yeah, but we were very lucky. Like with my oldest daughter, I still remember that woman. If she could listen to that video, Mrs. Cannings, she was an amazing teacher.
Mhm.
And she was the one who really helped me to, because, I'm a French speaker. And at
Mhm.
that time, my kids were younger. They were like, I don't know, in year two, maybe she was four,
Uh-huh.
4 or 5 years old. My English was not that good. So I couldn't communicate properly
Right.
with the GP, and she would help me to formulate, and support my requests with the GP. And she really did the job at having support, the teaching assistant
Hmm.
around my kid to help them to with their work, etc. So I was really lucky in that way to that
That's
my kid were in a school where there was a teacher that cared.
hmm.
Yeah.
So how did your daughters, I know they were young, but did they understand the diagnoses that they were given?
No, not really. It's only when they were teenager. And
Mhm.
for my eldest daughter, she was bullied badly at school as
Mhm.
being different because like she had, even to this day, she need to process a long time
Mhm.
when you ask her a question. And even at school, if a homework is given or a work is given, they were given extra time
Mhm.
because once they gave her essay and it was maybe a page to write, she wrote 2 lines in maybe an hour or something like that. And the teacher called me to say what she wrote is excellent. She's very intelligent, but it takes her a lot of time to
Right.
process. So at school, she didn't have friends, because kids are fast at school and really,
Yes.
and she just took time to do things. Even to this day, she took time. And even I, as a mom, I don't, patience is not you know, a quality that I have. So I remember being like, trying to ask her to hurry and do something before I understand actually
Right.
that it was autism that she has, right? And then when they become teenager, they didn't want to talk about it
Mhm.
because there were already, I mean, I'm talking about the older one, because
Mhm.
the youngest one is more affirm as a character,
Okay.
she accepts a diagnostic and she's fine with it, and she's different. But the eldest one had a really hard time. She
Okay.
didn't want to be identified as somebody
Right.
disabled. So she refused to talk about it and refused even to be follow up for that because it will show to the other one that she's even more different.
Right.
Even I remember in secondary school where she was given time to do work, you know,
Hmm.
she would refuse it because she was giving extra
Hmm.
time. It will show to the other that she was different.
Got it.
It's only as she became older in the 20s where uh, the condition really become like more difficult.
Yeah.
It was really limiting her.
Uh-huh.
Even when she started working, it was causing so much trouble for herself,
Uh-huh.
even at home, that she knew that there's something that need to be done and she really need to address it. But she had time to mature. But when she was younger, not at all. She didn't want to deal with it. She didn't want to know about it. She didn't want to hear about it. She didn't want to be different or
Mhm.
be seen as a disabled person.
And I think that's because the word disabled has such a bad connotation to
Can,
it,
yeah.
and so I feel for her. So as she's gotten older and now you're looking to move back to France, what are some of the things you're planning to do to make sure that she still has that support system that you put in place already for her with all the love you give her?
The big thing already, before I answer to that, you said something earlier. The way, as I'm a traveler, as I'm somebody who travel a lot, etc. Even when I travel, I always have in mind that I need to be back in no time, I don't want to go to Australia because it will take me 24 hours to come back
Right.
because my eldest is somebody that need the almost constant communication with me. She'll call me several times during the day, and I need to be present to
That's so
communicate.
sweet.
I always make sure that I'm available for her. Right. So I've
Hmm.
asked her if she wanted to travel and come live with us in France, right? But she has a small community here now,
Hmm.
etc. She wants to be here.
Yes.
So what we decided is really that we need to have like a place in the UK
Hmm.
and a place in France. So I can always come back and forth. And I tend to make sure that to not be gone for too long, not
Hmm.
more than 2 to 3 months if I have to go. And often I will call her to come with me, meet me sometime during the holiday. I just try to make sure that I'm always around, always present somewhere,
Hmm.
even to the phone or but she need to know that I'm here if she needs me. Yeah. But she's very able actually. She's very able to do things on her own. She's very independent. She's simply she made it my help a bit more than maybe someone else. You will never see my youngest one on a video or on a picture or nowhere on the internet. Never. She's different. She had ADHD, but she also has severe, um, how do you call it? Depression. She
Okay.
has been since she was very young. And so she's somebody that always alone. Like she
Okay.
doesn't communicate with people. They're very different. It's funny. She, somebody that's very independent, doesn't want to be around you all the time, but she need to know that you're here,
Hmm.
right? Around her in the same house, but don't
Uh-huh.
talk to her every day. Don't talk to her all the time. But she just need to know that you're here. Because when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna travel, what? Yeah, and are you going for far too long? Are you going, So I always just make sure that when I travel, they know that I'm still reachable, but I still have that guilt every time I go.
Hmm.
Like to leave them behind. And I know they're adult, they're 21 and 26. But when you have kids who have special needs, it's
Hmm.
difficult because you still feel that you're responsible for them, even if they're adult.
But do they get
Yeah,
along really well together, even though
they
they have
do.
different personalities?
It's really funny. They're like day and night, these two, but they have that bond, that sister bond. It's incredible. There's things that it would be difficult for me to discuss with the younger one because maybe I don't have the sensitivity or the way of saying
Hmm.
things, but the sister know exactly how to say something to her, and vice versa. You know, they have that sibling connection that I'm very happy, because I always told them they are each other's best friend. They have each other. If I'm not here tomorrow, they can count on each other.
Yes.
So yeah, they fight,
Of
as all
course.
siblings, but the eldest one has like a motherly attitude for the younger one. They have
Hmm.
4 years apart, and and it's funny. Yeah, they know they get along. Sorry, I should have answered to yes, but I
Oh,
went to a
no, no, no.
long
This is
tangent.
good.
Yeah, they have a beautiful, beautiful personality, and so and lately we discover, through going through all the because in the UK to be diagnosed like by the GP,
Hmm.
it's terrible. It's like 7 years sometime that you have to wait if you want
Wow.
to go through the health system. If you go privately, you can do it in no time, but it's expensive to do, right? So we did learn a lot. And we know that my husband is also neurodivergent and myself.
Mm.
So learning and being on YouTube, actually, I've seen and Lona that,
Yes.
in our group taught me so much of things that I've seen into my husband, into my family,
Hmm.
and the way to relate to each other. Now it's almost like a
Yes.
joke, when we see one of us doing something, yeah, no, no worry, I know you know a diversion, but you too. So it's a bit of banter, as they call it. But yeah, I love the relationship that they have with each other, and
Hmm.
that they respect it shows that they understand.
That's
Sometimes
awesome.
I'm there, I'm asking a question because my eldest sometimes do things like, and she's like, mommy, the youngest one will come and say, mommy, just leave her, that's her, and this is how, and that, and that, and that. It's yes.
So you we talked about, the bad GPs in the UK. Now, are your daughters also French citizens?
Yes, the British
Okay.
and French, yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you think that should, with you and your husband going back to France, they might get better care in France?
100%.
Okay.
100%, definitely. Even for myself, I'm planning to go be tested for ADHD.
Hmm.
And in France, I know I will be able to do that without a problem. The healthcare system in France is amazing. I mean, amazing. I know French people will be like, no, they like to be like protesting about everything. They don't know how they have it good there. In the UK, in the UK, it's difficult. In France, it's not very easy, but it's like the doctor still talk to you,
Yes.
still want to know who you are not just treating a symptom, but they want to know the cause, and they are
Right.
proactive. In the UK, they wait until you almost have to fake, like, honestly, like you have maybe a tummy ache for weeks, it hurts, but you don't go because you're trying to heal, because the GP will say, take paracetamol. So, but it's too much, but now you need to go. But you arrive there and suddenly the pain had disappeared for a moment. but you know
Hmm.
it's gonna come back. When you arrive there, you almost have to be like, you know, say that it hurt. Because if you only go there and say, okay, it was hurting for 2 weeks, but today it doesn't hurt, they won't do
Right.
anything.
Hmm.
Mainly for, yes. So you really have to almost force the GP to take action
Right.
because they don't want to give medicine. They don't want to send you to the specialist. They always wait for. In France, it's different. They want to find the root cause because they know that if it goes too far, they're going to pay more. You know, the
Exactly.
healthcare will suffer more.
Hmm.
But in the UK, no, no, it's like it's something else.
It's almost like, because we have good doctors and bad doctors here in the US. Like I said, we fired, the in-laws bad doctors and got them with good doctors. And it's like people just can't see the sooner you nip it in the bud, the cheaper it is.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a big thing. I don't like talking about race. It's not something that I like doing.
Hmm.
But there's one thing in the UK, and I've seen that when both my daughter were in a car accident, a guy hit them, so they had like ache and pain, and they arrive at the emergency room. They're
Hmm.
standing in a line because they have to stand to take their number and everything. The lady is calling everyone else. They're there for a very long time. No one will care for them. They've been in a car
Oh,
accident and they're aware of it. So it's someone else that sees what's happening and like, okay,
wow.
come, I will look after it. In the UK, you know, if you were someone else, you will see bruises, you will see blue, you
Hmm.
will see something. But in a black skin,
Right.
even when you have bruises,
You might not
you
see it.
can't, you don't see it. Somebody told my daughter that recognized that yes, you know, when somebody has come and you see their old red faces, you see they're sick.
Hmm.
But when you arrive, you're sick, but you look like you.
Yes.
It's difficult to recognize that somebody is sick, right?
Yes.
And that's something that we have to battle. And I've seen that in the hospital. But I feel
Yeah.
that in France is different. In France, I'm not saying that there's not a bit of that happening,
Hmm.
but in France, there's still like the old way of doing medicine, mainly in the village. There's a family doctor that
Hmm.
knows your history. And before a doctor treats you, they want to know where you're coming from, your parents, where, you know,
Hmm.
just symptom. They try to have like a big picture. So, you know, instead of treating the symptom, oh, you have a stomach, well, take some paracetamol. The GP, everything is paracetamol. So, which means that we rarely go to the doctor.
Hmm.
It's really like, okay, we can't take it anymore
Yep. I
because, yeah, sorry, I went
No, nope.
on that tangent.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting here nodding because I totally get it because I had my very first hot flash at 38, and
Oh,
we had moved, so I was going to a doctor closer to where we lived, and he basically told me, "Go away, kid. You bother me. That you're too young. I'm not even going to even look at this." And so I'm like, really? Seriously, you're dismissing the symptoms I'm telling you. So I drove 40 miles to my old doctor, paid cash because he's no longer on my insurance plan because of where I live now.
mhm.
And I'm sitting in the waiting room. His wife goes, "Oh, don't worry about this. He'll just see you. It's a consult. Don't worry about paying." And so I go in the room. He walks in the room just as I'm having a hot flash. And he says, "Vicky says, turn the air on in here. It's hot." He says, "I'm sorry, baby girl. You're in perimenopause." He
Oh,
just walked
wow.
in the room and looked at me. He says,
Yeah.
"You're just like your mom. You're going to go through early." And then because this person knew me and he knew my history, didn't
Yes,
dismiss it like this new person who'd never seen me before and just textbook. "Oh, okay, nah, you're too young. The textbook doesn't say that you should have it now."
exactly. Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's the UK. Sometimes you're at the doctor and they have the book, you know, the doctor book.
Yes.
Seriously, I was like, okay, no, it's not that. Let me check. No, no, no. It's like, you didn't take your stethoscope and try to listen to Maha. Is there
Nope.
something wrong? You didn't try to take. but you just see some symptom and like, okay, maybe take that,
Yes.
go take some paracetamol and then come back into awakes. That's why we decided with my husband, and we knew that before
Hmm.
because we had things where, in Africa, jaundice is something that's really
Yes.
current. My youngest daughter had it, but in France, it was taken straight away, and she was put into blue lights.
Hmm.
And my youngest daughter was born in the UK. The doctor, not only she was born in the car in winter in December, and so body temperature was very low. They kept us that night. She was born at 7 p.m. Until the next morning, 8, they asked us to leave and go home because then there's like a nurse that would come and see you.
Hmm.
So the nurse came, but they never realized that my kid had jaundice. I could see that her eyes was yellow inside and her skin.
Right.
As a mom, but they wouldn't listen to me. Go to the doctor wouldn't know. And I insist. And effectively, my daughter has jaundice. And you know how jaundice can be very
Yes.
dangerous if it's not treated,
Right.
you know, because they will dismiss. And I think maybe a lot of doctor here, I don't know if they're not trained enough in the area where we are. You know your health better. The
Yes.
mom knows. From the day where my daughters were born, my youngest when she started and my oldest, I know my kids were different.
Yes.
I knew my kids were different. But to explain that to a doctor that there's something with my kid.
Right.
My youngest kid is asthmatic. I fought in the UK, say my kid is asthmatic, there's something with her. They wouldn't recognize it. I took her to France, same as you had that doctor.
Hmm.
That's like, oh, that's hot flashes. Same, the doctor see my daughter, she was still a baby, check her. The kid is asthmatic.
Uh-huh.
And then prescribe her. And it's from that prescription from the French doctor. When I came back to the UK, now I say, okay, I went to France and my kid is asthmatic. That's when they now accepted that from the doc. And then it's not even that they did so many tests or whatever. They just
Hmm.
accepted it and now giving her the asthma,
Right.
the inhaler and
Hmm.
etc.
Yep.
So
I do
yeah,
preach that in one of my videos that if you've got a doctor who isn't listening to you, keep finding, keep going. Don't
yes,
just settle because you know your body, you know your
yes.
children, you know your parents.
Yes, exactly. And this is why, Vicky, I feel sometimes guilty for not having fought hard enough when my kids were younger. Many my elders, she suffered at school. She suffered as a different kid. I knew she was different. And in that African again mentality, disability is not something that's accepted. Mental health is not accepted. you know my youngest being depressed, even our family member, if they won't accept that
Hmm.
because it's seen as something to be ashamed of. It's being different is not something that is like. So we sometimes even I think that can be in our detriment,
Hmm.
you know, because you can't show this, you can't show that. You building up so much, things inside you that make us sick.
Yes.
But yes, anyway, through this community, honestly, I've learned to let go.
Hmm.
I've learned to accept that, needing help is not being weak,
Hmm.
That's something that was hard, asking
Yep.
for help. Oh my goodness, no. I'm the strong woman. I'm superwoman, right?
Yes.
And so asking for help, no. Showing weakness, no.
Because we
Yeah,
were raised that way. We were raised that you
yeah,
don't show those emotions, you don't
yeah,
ask for help, you just pull up those bootstraps and you do it. I mean, when I look at like my in-laws coming from the Great Depression and having to ration through all the wars and just basically doing without because that's how you do it.
yeah,
Those things were like kind of inbred in us,
yeah,
and they just perpetuate over the centuries, the decades, and we just keep rolling with it. And so it's funny because we
oh,
started this with taking care of your adult children with their
How did we
disabilities,
came here?
and we kind of morphed
Yes.
into, not only you've got to advocate for them, so it's kind of like taking on a,
Oh,
you got to advocate for them, you got to advocate for yourself. And that's kind of why I like these chats, because
oh.
you never know what you're going to get out of them. We got so much more out of it than we thought we were going to get out of it.
I know, Vicky, you just said something that I didn't realize even as we're talking.
Hmm.
That's another thing with the kids that are, ADHD and autistic. Although the adult, I need to go to advocate for my oldest daughter.
Hmm.
At, if she goes to the doctor, she cannot explain.
Hmm.
She feel like overwhelmed. If the doctor's like, no, no, it's not that, take paracetamol, etc., she's like freeze and cannot say anymore what,
Yes.
you know. And sometimes I have to go sit there and like, no, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened,
Yes.
you know?
Sometimes that,
It's,
that
it's,
fear of authority, and that fear that you're speaking English but they're speaking medical terms, do am I saying this right, and I don't know what I'm saying.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually had to advocate for my mom one time, at the eye doctor. She's explaining to the eye doctor about how dry her eyes are and blah blah blah, and he's not even looking at her. And he goes, yeah, yeah, okay, well, I don't see anything wrong. And I said, can I see you outside? I didn't do it in front of my mom. I said, can I see you outside? I said, you're going to go back in and you're going to stop looking at whatever the heck it is you're looking at. And you're going to look at her eyes and you're going to listen to what she has to
Wow.
say. And I said, and if
Mm,
not, I want you out of here and I want the next doctor who's going to listen. And he looked at me and said, yeah, you heard me. You're going to pay attention to your patient.
yeah, exactly.
He went back in, he changed his tune. I said, thank you. And then when we went to the residence, says, next time she comes in, I don't want that doctor.
Yeah.
And I had to do the same thing for my father-in-law, my grandfather, right before a one of his surgeries. My grandma was concerned about the type of anesthesia they were going to use, and she's asking the anesthesiologist questions about it because of his age and the condition that he has. She was real concerned about the type of anesthesia, and he's completely dismissing them, not answering the questions, and basically telling her that she's worried for nothing. Again, can I see you outside? I go, this man is in his 80s. You're about to operate on a brain tumor. You're going to go back in there and you're going to answer their questions so that they feel good about this surgery, and stop acting like they know what you know as the anesthesiologist. And
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
looked at me and I'm like, I'm not afraid of you people. I'm working healthcare
Mm.
administration. I'm going to pull you back in every chance I get.
Yeah.
And he went in there and he answered her questions. And it's like, I think that they they're too smart for their own good. They think that everybody knows what they know. And then when they're trying to explain it, they try to explain it in their own terms instead of breaking it into English. When you talk to
Yeah.
people in English, you can actually make your patients feel more comfortable talking to you than talking to
Exactly.
them in medical terms. And when you actually show active listening, you're going to build that rapport. And I get it, here in the US, it's all about churn and burn. I got to see 75 patients in one day, move
Same
it,
in
move
the
it, move it, move
UK.
it.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, okay, then I got to find a doctor who's not like that.
Yeah. That's the UK. They have like, I don't know if it's 5, 10 minutes per patient. I remember when my kids were small, I was crying to the doctor. They have
Mhm.
like, okay, we've seen your kid already. Yeah, yeah, just give them paracetamol and that and that and that, and
Yep.
that's it, just go. But the thing is, I find a difference though. In the UK now today, I've told to the surgery, I don't want to see a male doctor.
Yes.
I want to see women still have that. I
That
don't know.
empathy. They have empathy.
Yes, empathy. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Because the male doctors have, okay, boom. A woman doctor, when you really talk to her and said, really, I need this,
Yes.
if it has been, she can level with you and and
Hmm.
and sympathize, is that a word, like, with
Yes.
you. And I've seen that. So to this day with my kids, I say, like, don't go to put that on your file that you, if you want to say it's for your beliefs, I don't know what they are,
Hmm. Yeah. They need
but
to
I
teach
cannot
bedside
see.
manner.
Yeah, exactly. I can't see a male doctor because they don't take the time. I mean, medicine today is like commercial. It's like, okay, we need to see how many patients. You don't take the care to talk to a patient. And you see that in France, when a doctor talk to you,
Mhm,
it's different. You feel cared for. You feel that somebody sees the human being on the front, not just a patient, not a number that need to,
mhm.
yeah.
I found that same thing happening in France when I had to go to the pharmacy. My
Oh,
husband got
okay.
sick while we were in Paris, and with me and my broken French, and they were just like so sympathetic and trying to figure out, with my broken, French in my little book.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I found that there, and I was like, this is actually pretty nice.
Yeah. For that, we can't fault the French for a lot of things, but when it comes to the medical, I know French people today would say it's different because it has changed a little bit. Yeah. In here, actually, the nurses do a lot of work compared to the doctor. I'm sorry. The,
No,
the,
I
the
love that
nurse
part.
work a lot more than the doctor, honestly. I trust nurses more
Yes.
and they do a lot more. Even like the test, because we don't see gynecologists here a lot at all. It's the nurse that will do, like, the frotty. What's the
Hmm.
frotty? When you have to check for colon cancer, no, not
Yes,
colon,
the colonoscopy.
yes, all of that. Everything that you do is usually go through the nurse. If you do that in the surgery, you rarely go see a specialist for that because nurses here are trained to do a lot of things. A
I
lot
laugh
of things.
because Lana is a nurse and she says all the time that she'd rather see a nurse practitioner than a doctor. That's why I was laughing.
It is true.
And
I'm so,
my aunt was a nurse, an ICU nurse, and she
yeah.
used to always say, "My job is to keep the doctor from killing you."
The nurses are so much more. I don't know. I love having an appointment with a nurse. When I see a
Hmm.
nurse at the surgery, I'm happy. They're more kinder. They do a lot more, I think, for us. I think the doctor are too busy with keeping up with those statistics, the quotas of this and that. To be fair, there's a few doctors at my surgery that aren't bad, ladies that will take the time to listen to you.
Hmm.
However, there's a lot to be done to, make healthcare. Uh,
Hmm.
People don't go to the doctor. They don't want to. What
Yeah.
for?
Yeah, and
What for?
I've been like I said, I've been really lucky. I found some really good doctors when they're bad. I just keep looking till I find the good ones.
Yeah.
Some have been replaced with nurse practitioners instead of doctors. But I think it's getting harder here in America to find a good doctor because of all the consolidation. You've got, companies buying up the little small medical groups, so your choices are getting more and more limited. So you really have to, seek out the type of care that you feel comfortable with. And you have to feel comfortable with it. And that's my in-laws stuck with people they may not even like. They'll even tell you, I don't even like that doctor. Then why have you been going to him for 20 years? Well, because I used to go to him 25 years ago, so I haven't changed, even though I don't like him.
Yeah. Yeah. But are you allowed to go see doctors outside of your area? In the UK, you have a surgery, so like a medical doctor, group that you belong to, where
Yeah,
you're
we
registered.
yeah, here in America, because we don't have universal health care, it depends on the health plan that you actually sign up for. So whether like I think Medicare, you can, and I'm probably going to botch this, but if you have Medicare, so what the seniors get, you can pretty much go anywhere you want that takes Medicare. But if you sign up for what they call a Medicare Advantage plan, where you're signing on with a specific insurance company to manage your care, they kind of direct your care and tell you where you can and can't go. And then same thing with the state run plans for, but they call that Medicaid plans. Same thing, you have to kind of go where they tell you you can go. Because my husband is employed, he's got what they call a preferred provider or private insurance. I can pretty much go
Oh,
anywhere I want to
yeah,
go.
I see. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We had that when my husband had the covers. We could go really. different places and we could
Hmm.
really go specialists. But when you just depend to the, the healthcare,
Hmm.
national healthcare, you kind of have to go to the doctor that to the surgery that you
Hmm.
are registered to, you know.
Yes.
Yes, there's some like open walk-in session, surgery where you can go. There's
Hmm.
one in town where you can also go, but often there need to be a reason why you go there because they will
Right.
ask you to go to your surgery unless it's something urgent that happened and your surgery is not available.
And that's what I was trying to tell my in-laws doctor that we fired. And he's like, oh, well, they need to go see a neurologist. I'm like, okay, but you got to write a referral to a neurologist, even though they can go see any doctor they want to. I can't just take them to a neurologist and say, hi, we're here. It's
Yeah,
like you got to tell them what they're there for and what you suspect and
yeah,
all that good
yeah,
stuff. You know, I can't just
exactly.
walk in and say tester.
You can do that in Africa. That's the thing that I love when I go to Africa is that you can go to anyone.
Mhm.
You can go to a lab and say, okay, I want a scanner done. I want a ERM, that it's in French.
So MRI, CT
MRI,
scans.
that's the one. MRI is like ERM in French.
Okay.
MRI. Okay.
Okay.
MRI scan, CT scan. You can just go. You can go to
Right.
any specialist in Africa. You go and you're like, okay, I need this test done. And they just do that for you.
Wow. Not here.
So yeah, so you have to be, end with something positive that in the UK they're trying.
Mhm.
They've improved. At some point, I didn't want to put my feet in the doctor anymore because they almost
Mhm.
killed my kids when they were younger because they could never know, and they usually have these young daughters
Mhm.
and there's something that I would say as well. What happened to my daughter several times, the one that can't really fight for herself, they will put like trainees, doctors, like could you call it
Mhm.
trainees? Maybe not,
Yes.
it's not a proper word. Yeah,
Interns.
interns, you're right.
Mhm.
At the surgery, and some of them have no clue sometime,
Right.
right? And but my daughter cannot talk for herself.
Yes.
And often they're not used to taking blood. Blood is very difficult to take usually.
Yes.
So she had somebody poking on her 100 times and then calling
Oh.
somebody that knew the job, and she couldn't say anything.
Mhm.
She just came to tell me they put me with that young trainee, intern, and he didn't know. Yeah, but why did you not say anything? Right? Why didn't you? Because they would ask you, they usually will ask you the permission. They say, okay, today we have an intern. Are you okay with that? Or we have an intern in, right?
Mhm.
It's not something compulsory that they can impose into you. But
Oh, she just didn't
yeah.
feel she could speak up.
No, she often cannot speak up outside. But so we're working on that I think with time she's taking more,
Mhm.
she's able little by little to assert herself and
Mhm.
advocate for herself as time goes.
This was a
So
good discussion. Like I said, start off talking about what you're doing for your kids and you're advocating for them. So there we go.
yeah,
We're still on topic.
yes. Yes, exactly. So yeah.
So if you could give any advice to parents who found themselves in your situation where something was wrong, you knew something was wrong, but the doctors wouldn't say, what would be the one big thing you tell them that they need to do?
Trust your gut. Moms always know from the beginning.
Hmm.
If you feel that there's something wrong with your kid or there's something different, there's something going on, trust your gut. Because every time that I was like, no, something is wrong, I
Hmm.
was right.
Yes.
And you have to fight for it. You have to go to doctor. You have to go and fight for somebody to see your kids because you know
Hmm.
better. They may have the white coat and yeah, but they don't know your kid better than you.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I really thank you for joining me. Like I said, this was a long time coming. Unfortunately, COVID delayed this by several weeks. So
Oh,
thank
I'm
you for
sorry.
so thank
Yeah.
you for fitting me in. Yes, this
Oh
year is
my
going by pretty quickly, huh?
Yes, exactly. No, you're doing well on your channel. I really enjoy everything that you're putting out.
Thank
The Swedish dev cleaning video was just amazing. Yeah, if you don't mind me talking about that,
Oh no.
it's I read that book years ago and I've been doing it for myself. It's something that I have in my mind
Hmm.
always. Like, I don't want to burden my kids. I've seen that with my mom. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. So I just adored all these series that you've been doing and how you tackle your in-laws things, and etc. Because it's something that we need to do because we often keeping things
Yeah.
now we're moving after 25 years, 23 years in this house. I can't remember.
Hmm.
In this house and we accumulate things. We
Hmm.
accumulate things. And often with like, oh, I wanted to keep all the kids' things of, you
Yes.
know, when they grow up, maybe no. Now I have a box, a small Amazon box,
Uh-huh.
where I took a few things for each of them, to
Yes.
take, just a small box, right?
Yeah.
And
You don't
everything
know.
else, yeah. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
don't know
thank you
till you
for
start digging into it, just exactly, everything that you have. And you're like, do
oh
I really need this? I haven't even seen this. Like with my mother-in-law. I mean, we were taking out stuff and she goes, "Oh, I had that. I didn't know I had that. You can't take it."
I know that was my mom. Oh, Vicky, the last time I spent with my mom, I used to steal things from her. I don't know if you stole from your mom things like a dress or something that was nice. And I used to go in her room and she sees me coming out, just like, what do you have there? I'm like, nothing. And she knew that I was taking things from her. And the last time I see her, she's sorting out the things and she had a lot of things everywhere.
Hmm.
And so I want to take something. She's like, no, leave it. And then she put it in the valise. And when she died, that scene came back
Hmm.
because everything that there was, if I tell you that she died in 2011, to this day, we still have a mountain of her things. Because I don't know, I can't remember, Vicky, if you spoke about that. It's like, it's also the Swedish death cleaning, but also letting go of your parents' things.
Yes. It perpetuates. So once if they didn't let it go, you have a hard time letting it go, and because you want to
Yeah.
be surrounded by your parents' things,
Yes.
and you can't decide what stays and what goes, so you just keep it all.
Yes. That my sister
Hmm.
that I was telling you. The house is still filled with my mom clothes, mom, so many things, so many
Hmm.
things. I don't want that. I have like a capsule wardrobe. You see me all the time with the same three things or four things that I wear, and uh, it's easy for
Since
me to pack everything in a luggage and like
Yeah,
go.
since I stopped working, my home clothes are like t-shirts because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't get cold enough. You'll see me in a sweater probably in January. So thank you, Jazz, for joining me today. I really appreciate all of your insights. I really love the fact that we started this conversation talking about what you're doing to ensure that your children have what they need as they grow and you move away. And that key word for us is advocate. Always being an advocate for them, and
Yeah.
hopefully teaching them to be an advocate for themselves once we're no longer here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you very much, Vicky, for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. It's a subject that I actually never spoke about before. And it's really an honor. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's not going to surprise me if people have that aha moment, go, "Oh my gosh, me too," because they keep it inside. They think they're the only ones, and then they hear
Yeah,
someone say it, and then that light bulb goes on. Oh my gosh, it's not just me. So I'm hoping to see a lot of comments down in the chat with people sharing, their moments and some tips and some, thoughts around what we just discussed.
exactly. Me too. Me too. So yeah, let's continue the conversation into the
Yes,
comments. Yeah.
yes, definitely. We'll see you down there.
Yeah.
I really hope you enjoyed this chat with my friend Jazz as much as I did. I always love talking to her. She's just such a wealth of knowledge and just a pleasant person to talk to. I'm going to leave a link to her channel in the description below. Please go check her out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, you may want to do so you'll notified of additional chats that I have planned with the rest of my YouTube family. If you made it this far with me, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you over here.